All right, so here we go. I'm going to start off with our first real style. It'll be a good chance for us to make sure that the volume's okay. I'm going to probably blast Carolyn out of the house here a little bit, but I'm sure that'll be okay. So here we go. We'll start off with our first number, and then we'll kind of show off this instrument in many fun ways. Oh wait, let me put on rhythm preset. And I haven't played an aria so long. This is very exciting. Well, that is for our opening number for the Lowry aria there, and hopefully that sounds good over there. I actually don't have it turned up all the way, and I could hear it really nice over here. This is a lot of fun. So to take you on this little tour there, we have, as you can see on the screen there, can you go back to the one? Because that first shot there is pretty important. If you notice that the instrument is as it's similarly designed to the marquees and the grand marquees and what have you, there's some subtle changes that you're going to see today. When I say subtle, I mean subtle as far as they didn't have to add and redesign the entire cabinet to make these important changes. But the first thing you'll notice is on the music rack, it's actually transparent all the way through. And then on the top there, you'll notice that we have where your monitor speakers are. You're going to find, and I believe the next slide shows that there's a little more real estate there. And this is one of those little things for those who have, they have lamps that they typically like to put on top of the instrument. It just makes it a lot easier to put your music lamps there. And then moving on, you're going to see and hear about these wonderful lighting system that we have on here. I forget how many colors there were, but there were thousands and thousands of colors that they used of lighting to create a lot of the lighting options that we have on the instrument. And of course, moving on to the next slide there, we have, speaking of lighting, what's called a new innovation. You might hear this word quite a bit because when the Aria was introduced not too long ago, it seemed like they were on a mission to make sure that they had as many new innovations that they could possibly put in an instrument. Typically in the years past, a lot of the instruments, they'd always have a couple great new innovations and a lot of new styles and rhythms. Here there's many new innovations. And the first one is called, I believe it's called Starlight ABCs. And here's what that means. Starlight ABCs, because of the new lighting, let's go to the next screen for a minute, and I might, okay. I'll have two shots here. I'll show you a little bit of the instrument. Depending on the angle I'm at, you may not be able to see it. You'll see it on the PowerPoint as well. But here's what Starlight ABCs does. First of all, you'll always know where your split is on the lower. Whereas many of the instruments that have the split, sometimes we change those. We never really know until we play. The keyboard on the Aria actually will display on the lower keyboard, the ABC notes is lit up in a way that you know where your split is at all times. You'll always know what note you're playing on the upper keyboard, on the lower keyboard. Anytime there's a note played or whether you're using a recording, it will actually play all of the notes. So you see what notes are being played right above the keys. Harmony notes on the upper and lower. So for those of you who have 4-part harmony, 5-part, all those harmonies, when you're playing, it'll actually display the notes that is in that harmony. So for example, a lot of people know AOC is GCE if you're playing a one-note harmony. On here, it'll actually show those notes, but there's 5-part harmonies, there's barbershop, there's 4-part harmonies, block harmonies. When you're playing those notes, even if you're playing one note harmony, it's going to actually show you what all those notes are. So there are some people learning chords. They may know what easy play chord is. You know, for example, to do an easy play C7th is a C and a B flat. If you're doing that, it'll actually display all of the notes. It'll tell you. For those of you who have the MCS Plus that are playing 6 and 7 and 8 and 4 and 5 notes, it'll actually display that. And lastly, if you're using the Fake It, it'll also tell you. So when you see the next shot here, you're going to see some hands. Now if you kind of look at that, on the top keyboard, this person that's playing, you'll see that the G note that is being pressed happens to have a harmony, and you'll see a G, C, E in yellow notes. So in that example, that person is playing a G note with a harmony, and the harmony notes happens to be G, C, and E, and it's telling us what those notes are. Some people like to have that in case they want to learn to play some of those notes. And then on the bottom keyboard, what you'll notice in the next slide here, there you go, that person is playing a simple C chord. It actually tells them in purple what 3 notes are being played. So in that example, G, C, E. Now it's very important to understand that when you're using that system, it's going to tell you what's the best position to play that chord, which is considered the industry standard for a typical hobby player. All right, now what we're going to do here is we tested this out. We don't know if you'll be able to see it well, but I'm going to get it set up. You have my video spotlighted there, Sean?
You bet.
Okay. What I'm going to actually do is turn off the lights, and then you'll see it kind of in a hint. I'm going to get as close as I can here without knocking over any of her important items. And I have a little song here that was recorded actually by Jim Weta, who is one of the masterminds behind this. And he did a recording of Viva Las Vegas. And if I could just find the recording here. Oh, I had it paused from earlier, so let me pull it back up. All right, and I'm just going to play just a few notes and not the entire song, but maybe you can see it. As I play it, you're going to see all of the notes that are being played demonstrating what I just mentioned. Let's see here. So as you can see, the notes are being played on the upper and the lower. What chord is being played? Hopefully you were able to see some of the notes in there. So it was just really interesting how and what I pointed out there, I guess the Aria
One
likes
more
that song
time.
too and wants to hear it again. The neat thing, what I pointed out to, is one of the harmonies that was being used was the harmony with the cascade. It'll show the cascading notes as well. Now, before I forget, you're going to hear some things. I mentioned real styles. So if you pull up the screen there now, let's see what happens here. It's probably going to show the video of the, there he is, Elvis doing Viva Las Vegas. You'll notice that in the beginning, when I played La Bamba, the name of the style was called La Bamba. You'll notice that the song that we just played was using a rhythm style called Viva Las Vegas. The name of the song is called Viva Las Vegas. And you'll see there's the thing called real style. And at the bottom right, it says real style. And here's what that means. Many of you know this by now. And it'll show up on when I press this top hits button. But over the years, Larry has done a phenomenal job at dancing around naming the rhythm styles for the songs, the signature style. So for example, Serenade is a rhythm style. Most people know that if I use that, I can play Moonlight Serenade. If I play New York Swing, it's great for New York, New York, and you could play other songs with those, but the signature styles, they always tweak the name, and I think in an instrument like this, Larry decided to finally, we need to make sure that we just go ahead and name the style, the name of the rhythm, and the name of the song. And what that means is they paid a little royalties to do so. Now, on the screen there there was a button that called Top Hits. Now back up one just real quick, Sean. You'll notice that this panel here, for those of you who have like a marquee or grand marquee, you'll notice that there was a button up there before. It has been replaced, but not replaced. It has been relocated to a better location. And they use this button here called Top Hits. And when you press Top Hits, what happens on the screen is it gives you 22 of the new 44 new real styles. And you'll look on the screen there, it says Phantom of the Opera, Stand By Your Man. It's pretty obvious what songs, these aren't songs, these are rhythm styles. La Bamba, for example, was the style that I used. And if you go to the next page, there's 22 more of those real styles. Star Trek Theme, the Christmas song. Well, there's more than just naming the style, the name of the song. If you use just the intro one with that style and song, it'll give you the actual full arrangement, note for note, just like the original song that was recorded. And then if you do your minors, your intro twos, they work for other songs. We'll get back to that in just a little bit. So, moving on to some other really neat, fabulous things here. We're talking about rhythm styles here. And I showed you one way to get top hits is the fastest way to get the new styles. But now there's a new feature that makes finding styles easier, changing styles easier and faster, discovering styles you normally don't use, and no more reaching to change the style. And it's this. There's a button here called Classic Styles. Now, this button, I think, was originally designed for those who had instruments like the Patriot, the Liberty, Sterling. You may have had a Prestige, Stardust, Royal. For many years, the panel has been the same. When the Marquee was introduced in the new E series, the panel changed in some of the location of the styles. So we have the typical way that we can find styles. Now there's a new button called Classic Styles. And when you press it, what happens is it puts up a list of styles just the same way as it used to be on the previous models. And when you select one of those, what happens is it'll pull up all of the rhythm styles like it used to, and then when you press it, it'll now tell you where it is on the new panel. And the reason for this is we wanted to make sure you had the easiest way possible to finding not just the new styles, but the ones that you always loved to play. Now, speaking of, if you go to the next slide there, we have something that's really, we talked about real styles, and this is a real style that we thought was really appropriate. And people love the music of yesteryear, and this is a style called, what is it called? Pretty Woman. Now I wonder what song I'm going to play. So I'm going to go in the screen here to my top hits, and I'm going to oh, it's called Pretty Woman. And I'm going to use my music, and then Sean, you can go back and forth. You can go back from that screen as I'm playing, and so you could see that I'm just using easy play music. This song is in the key of G, thank goodness. Here we go. Is this where I'm supposed to go meow? So that was another one of those real styles. Actually, you're going to hear a lot of real styles today because that's all these new rhythm styles. And of course, if you go back to that little slideshow there, we got something really cool coming up here.
I'm going to try, so I'm going to make it a little bit clearer. I think it was a little out of focus, so I'm going to fix it this time here.
Okay. I'm flexible.
There we go.
All right. So we have, it says a new feature, easily find your styles, making changing favorite styles easier, faster, find your favorite styles fast, and another choice in organized styles. Now, this is a feature that you're familiar with, but there's a subtle change with it. So earlier, I told you that there was a button that the top hits replaced, and it wasn't replaced, it just relocated it. And the button that was up there was called, go to the next one, was called Style Favorites. And you'll notice that they relocated the Style Favorites buttons on the screen. But the change here is that a lot of people love the Style Favorites buttons that they had on the marquees and the Grand Marquees, and even the Rialtos had some of those. But there was only, you were limited to a certain number. When you press it on here, what happens now in the screen, it actually gives you up to 18 style favorites that you can store very easily. The buttons are larger and easier to press now. And so between the new top hits, the classic styles, and the style favorites button, they've really made it so that when you're dealing with nearly over 400 styles on an aria, they really made it so it was very easy to find all your new styles. Now, moving on to something, one of my favorite things here. Well, I may say this about a lot of the styles. This is one of my favorite new reel styles. And this features music of the country era here. And this was a great hit by Tammy Wynette. And the song is called Stand By Your Man. The name of the style is called Stand By Your Man. And all I'm doing is I'm pressing the top hits button, and I'm just looking on the screen for the style that says Stand By Your Man. Rhythm preset, nothing fancy. This is just what you get straight from the aria. Here we go. have to brag a little bit because I've got the best seat in the house right now. The sound that's coming out of this is so magnificent. You can't see me when I'm playing, but this is what I look like a lot. Wow. All right, back to the slide. Mr. Maloney, we have, if you thought that was great, we now have something that's really cool. Go ahead to the next slide there. This is a feature. Oh, wait, I'm sorry, back up. This is a new feature, should I say, that makes finding song setups and styles easier, makes naming setups and songs easier, locates sounds faster, and renaming songs easier and faster. Now go ahead and pull that up. And what you're going to notice is there's a new button here. It doesn't say keypad, it says QWERTY. And now here's what that means. If you go to a typewriter, the letters in the top row, one of the top rows of the typewriter, you have a Q, W, E, R, T, Y. And that's why when you hear someone say something about a QWERTY keyboard, it means it represents like a typewriter. And when you press that now, you have, now instead of having to type the letter 3 times, A, B, C, D, E, F, or the numbers, you can actually very easily name your presets if you're doing that, or find a song setup by just pressing S, or maybe you want to rename something, a preset on the instrument. You just simply type it. And here's the other thing. When you type the letters, it works like a typewriter. It automatically advances to the next thing. What we have found is the folks that have the QWERTY keyboard, they're finding it much, much easier to access song setups, styles, renaming their presets, or if they use a USB, titling those. And if that wasn't enough, we have some other amazing features. And this is yet another innovation that I think has been overdue since the time of organs. And the feature is called Orchestrator. Now, this is sometimes, it's a little difficult to explain when I'm doing it in this fashion, but I'll do my best. But many of you have not many of you, you all have a feature called harmony. And when you use harmony, AOC, 3-part, 4-part, what happens is technology allowed Lowry and others to do harmonies the best way that they could, but what a lot of people know is it's always been slightly musically incorrect. Now if you pull up the next slide, let me explain. Here's a traditional harmony on a Lowry instrument. Now as you can see, there's 4 notes there. So that's probably what's called a 4-part harmony. If you put on a harmony on any instrument and you're playing the one note, what happens is if you have an oboe, say an oboe, clarinet, and a cello or something like that, what it would do is it would make 3 oboes, 3 bassoons, 3 flutes, and the solo would be the solo instrument. Well, in the real world, that's not how you would actually hear a harmony like that. That's why you won't see a lot of harmonies like that on a Lowry instruments, because that would sound harsh. However, if you heard a real symphony orchestra, here's what would happen. In this example, your solo might be the flute player playing that one note. An oboe would play one note. The clarinet, in this case, would play that looks like an E. And a bassoon would play the C. So instead of hearing 3 bassoons, 3 clarinets, 3 oboes, and then a solo flute, you'd hear 1 bassoon playing one note, 1 clarinet playing that note, and they'd all harmonize in a way that's very pleasant to the ears. And let me see if I put this on the next slide here, because I'm going to demonstrate this so you can hear it. Go to the next slide there, Sean. Yeah, so what's going to happen is you're going to hear these new sounds, and what they did is they put them in category setups. You don't have to figure this out. So you'll see on the screen there's new dimensions, and you'll also see one there says Orchestrator. I'm going to touch Orchestrator and play some of these for you. And let's go to Category Setups here. I'm just going to touch Orchestrator 1. And what you're going to hear is just some of these amazing sounds. I'm going to tell you some of these that I'm going to play. We have some what's called woodwinds. Now the first one I'm going to play is actually what you just heard, saw on the screen. Then you're going to hear a classic flute, clarinet, and a tuba, and then you're going to hear a quartet string, and then there's one what I call the actual Glenn Miller sound. For many years, Lowry's been trying to duplicate that sound, and until now, they haven't been able to do that. So here's the first example you heard on the screen, saw on the screen. That was the woodwinds, and then the second one I played was flute, clarinet, and tuba. Now, typically, you would not put a tuba with a harmony, but because of the orchestrator, it automatically activated it, put the tuba right down below where it needed to play. There's some gorgeous string quartets. You're going to hear the cellos, the violas, the violins, etc. Listen. Now I'm going to do that same thing with the one finger. I don't know if you could see it in the video there, but you're going to see these yellow lights popping up. It's telling me all the notes that it's playing. And then I mentioned the Glenn Miller sound. Now, Glenn Miller had a sound that made him stand out from the rest. It was the way that originally was the trumpet in the lead. And long story short, something happened to a trumpet player in the orchestra, and the clarinet filled in, and it became that unmistakable sound that most people recognize when it's Glenn Miller, along with the reeds, and the saxes and so forth. So when you hear this with this new orchestra, now again, all I did is I pushed the preset on the screen. It does it for me automatically. Listen.
I love that sound, Robert.
I do too, and some of you may know who Glenn Miller was, but it might be a little bit before your time. But if you ever look up and listen to some Glenn Miller, you're going to actually hear that exact same sound. So this is exciting. I get to play an aria. All right, so let's see. And I'm going to just follow the PowerPoint. There's got to be something else that hopefully it's exciting. Oh, this is exciting. Another real style. Now, some people appreciate the music of Andrew Lloyd Webber, and particularly the music of the Phantom of the Opera. And what I can tell you is the aria has a style for every song for the Phantom of the Opera. And what's really clever about this is pretty phenomenal. I'm going to touch my top hits button. And there's a style here called All I Ask of You. Now, by the way, when I do intro 1, which is what you're going to hear, it'll give me the exact arrangement for All I Ask of You. If you do intro 2, it's actually the arrangement for Music of the Night. So I'll play a little bit of All I Ask of You. Slide my music over. Whew, it's in the key of C, thank goodness. So here we go. And what I found out earlier when I was looking through this, it actually set up the orchestrator preset for me from one of those new orchestrator harmonies. Listen. So when I was pointing it out the end there, because not only was that orchestrator feature used in the upper and the lowers and what have you, but it also is used quite a bit in some of the styles of music that you're going to hear. Just absolutely gorgeous. The arrangement was so elegant, just like the original recording. Now, if that wasn't enough, we have yet.
Hey, Robert, I'm getting a couple people with feedback saying maybe turn on your voice a little bit so then we can hear the organ a little better. I think that'll sound.
Turn on my voice?
Yeah, turn that down just a little bit.
Turn this down?
Yep, or the organ up just a little as well.
Oh, I can do that.
Ooh.
Okay, so moving on, and what do we have next on the slide? Oh, we have a new style, new reel style, and believe it or not many people know this, but Ray Anthony, who was once a Glenn Miller band member, went on to have his own orchestra, and he had actually a hit song called the Hokey Pokey. Now, what's great about this arrangement, this is the arrangement that he performed, the Hokey Pokey. But this, to me, was exciting, not just because of the song, but because of the styling. Now, I'm going to reach up and hit Hokey Pokey, and I'm going to play a little bit of the Hokey Pokey. Maybe I don't know if I have the music. Yes, okay. I think I can pull this one off. But what's great about this style is that it's a big band style in nature, so you can use it for all of those great big band songs. So I'll do a little bit of Hokey Pokey, and then I'll turn around and do some other big band song, whatever comes to mind at the time. Here we go. Now all I did is I turned on altar style and watch and listen. Oh, it sounds so good here. Carolyn actually has a pretty good seat in the house too. She gets to hear it live in her, is that your dining room, living room? The other room. Anyway, so we have yet another great reel style. Now this style, I just love this style because when it's that time of the year, it's a great style to use. And when it's not that time of the year, it's a great style to use for all other songs. The style is called Christmas song. Now, why the Christmas song and Nat King Cole? Well, what's great about the song, the Christmas song, what I love about this is over the years I've heard many people do an arrangement of this song. And I'd have to say, they're all great arrangements. Luckily, I haven't heard one that I disliked. But the one that stands out to me the most is Nat King Cole's arrangement of the Christmas song. And believe it or not, about a month and a half ago or two, when the world experienced what we've been going through, I actually pulled out some of my Christmas songs and I started playing Christmas songs. There's just something magical about those songs, and it was just another way to make me feel good. And I had the opportunity of playing this song here, but now I get to play it with Nat King Cole's actual arrangement. Now in the beginning, listen closely, you're going to hear what I call these beautiful swooning strings, just like the arrangement that Nat King Cole's orchestra did. And then we're going to have this just elegant registration that Bill Curry put. And then at the very end, you're going to hear this really nice guitar sound in the background, just like the song where it sounded like it did a little bit of the Jingle Bells melody. Listen. Just a gorgeous arrangement. And if you listen to that arrangement, you could actually go back and play Moonglow, Left My Heart in San Francisco, Stardust, Smoke Gets in Your Eyes. So many wonderful songs that work nicely with that. Now, if that wasn't enough, there is yet another innovation. Go figure. On the Lowry Aria. And this is a feature that is going to make you sound like a vocal group, make sing-alongs even more fun. Vocal harmonies follow you, and harmonies always follow the correct pitch. Now, I didn't bring the song that I wanted to sing today, so I'm just going to have to explain it. But what it does, and I have to have it plugged into the organ to show this, but let me explain what this does. What happens is, occasionally, students like to bring out their microphone, plug it into the organ, and try to sing along. And you always have a few people that humorously say, you don't want to hear me sing, or what have you. But what this does is it puts your harmonies in the correct pitch, even if you're not. And by selecting any one of these when you're singing, you can sound like you're 2 octaves up or 2 octaves down. So us gentlemen that have lower voices, we can actually sound like we have high voices, and vice versa. You could actually sound like a quartet, or a traditional quartet with a bass, jazzy quartet, trio, duet, octave up and down, or stereo double, which is all these wonderful effects. And all you do is you plug into the organ, pick a song, pick one of these harmonies, and rather than playing the melody, you just sing the melody, and it'll magically do that. And then moving on to another great new style, and this is a style that I've been playing, a song I've been playing a lot lately. There's just something magical about this song. And the song is called You Don't Know Me. And the style's called You Don't Know Me, of course. And this style is great because it's one of those styles of mute songs that's in the styling of what we call a ballads triplets. Now, there have been other models that we have that have a similar style to this, but what you're going to hear here is the exact arrangement that Ray Charles did when he performed You Don't Know Me. So I'm just going to reach up and hit my top hits. I'm going to find the style that's called You Don't Know Me. Oh, it's right there in front of me. And then just a simple introduction. And here we go. Just an absolutely gorgeous style. That was a little bit of a challenge. I usually play that in the key of F, and that was in C. But anyway, now we have a cool feature here. Pay very close attention to this. These are one of those features that, believe it or not, we have all complained about for years. Just it wasn't in a fashion of a complaint. It was kind of, when I press this button and I use a rhythm preset, and then I like that sound, and I go to another rhythm, it changes. Is there any way to keep that sound? And our answer is typically, yeah. What you want to do, if you're using a big band rhythm and you're switching and you got a preset number 6 or whatever, and you really like that, the encouragement is memorize A and save it in a preset. Some people know how to do that, some don't, some people forget to do it. Well, this feature is exclusive to the Aria, another great innovation, and it holds on to your favorite, whoops, back up. It holds on to your favorite setups, makes creating setups easier, allows you to be creative, and makes your own setups faster. And it's very simple, and it's simply called Setup Hold. Now you'll notice that there's a new button here, and it's just simply called Setup Hold. Now I'm going to turn the light off. Let's see if you can come to the screen. I don't know if you'll be able to see it from there, but right here, there's a button that says Setup Hold, okay? And it's in blue. So when I have a rhythm on, and right now it's in blue, when I put on a rhythm, let's say any rhythm that I want, and I'm playing one of my new styles, and let's say here, I'm going to put on Oscar Peterson here, and I use my normal setups like I normally would. And you'll notice, there's the blue light. The minute I push Style Setup, because we encourage start with the style setups, you'll notice the blue light goes away. Okay? That's by design. Now as I'm playing, and I'm going to look in the screen here and I'm going to see what sound I get. Oh, that's nice. Let me put on that. Okay. We'll have a nice piano here and a guitar. And I'll use some presets. If I love that sound, I can hold it and it'll lock it in for me no matter what. So I have, and what'll happen is if I switch to another rhythm, that hold will remain until I hit another preset. So let me play a couple of these new sounds with this new style. It's an Oscar Peterson style. And let's see if I have the song in here. The Way You Look Tonight, perfect. This was his arrangement of Oscar Peterson arrangement of The Way You Look Tonight. And then when I find a sound that I just absolutely fall in love with, I'm just going to hit Setup Hold and leave it there. And then I'm going to just switch it to another style. Listen. So as you can see, as I was playing, I eventually found a sound that I liked. I love that guitar sound. This is a new, what they call a guitar bend. Now what's nice about that sound is you don't have to use the glide and try to, that's not a real guitar bend. We've never been able to produce as an actual, like as a guitar player, when they play, they have a certain way. This note, when you press it just a little harder, it's built in so it bends automatically. Now, if I go to another style, because I have that setup hold, you'll notice that instead of the sounds changing, even if I switch, that sound remains. If I switch to another preset or another style, same thing. The sound remains. Now, the minute I go back to a style setup, it automatically goes now back to the other style setups. So now when you have that favorite sound that you like and you want to hold it and use it for other rhythm styles, just reach up and hit setup hold, and that's it. And you just move on to the next style. So just a lot of great innovations and features. Now, this is pretty phenomenal, and we got a little taste of this on an instrument called the Grand Marquis and expanded on the Lowry Aria. There is a new group of styles here called light styles, and the best way to explain it is these are rhythm styles that are light in calories, if you will. And I think the screen actually, the next screen suggests a light swing gypsy. I'm actually going to do something else that I just absolutely love. We have the light gypsy is one of the new styles. Actually, I'll let you listen to just the orchestration on that real quick. But what you noticed in that style is that it wasn't extremely busy. So these are a great group of styles that give you some styles of music that you don't have to have so much going on and try to turn off an orchestra plus or what have you. And they're all start off with the words light in the beginning of it. There's another one here called light big band. And this is kind of one of those, think about big band music. Light and big band don't go hand in hand. Usually, if you lighten it up, it becomes a swing. Big band usually has a lot of musicians going on. And here, when I first heard this, the first thing that came to mind was Glenn Miller's At Last. Listen. Just a very, very elegant style, and it's just gives you a whole nother style of music to play all of those hundreds of songs. And by the way, the styles that they chose, these light styles, were styles that you can play virtually any song that you wanted to play. So if you had your march and polkas, you had something for that. Shuffles from Latins to big bands to swing to 2 beats, 16 beats, piano styles, etc., 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 etc. But wait. There's more. And this is a feature that some of you are familiar with. However, it was introduced on one model and then improved on the Aria with just a whole new way of playing music. The fake it has been a feature that since the beginning of time of its introduction in 2011, I believe, I always thought it was a great feature for students to use. It just play notes and you don't have to worry about hitting a bad note. The trouble is a lot of times you have to tap it out just right, and it's evolved over the years to the point where if you held down a note, it would do the fake it for you, and then it's got to the point where if you push 2 black notes, it would continue on. The difficulty is the only time you can use fake it is when you decide that you're not going to play a melody. So this new feature now, and it says on the screen there, you can select which keyboard you want fake it to be on. It now follows you instead of you having to follow it, and it sounds like 2 of you are playing, and you can use fake it any time. So on the screen, you'll see there on the dashboard of the instrument, there's a fake it, and it just simply says upper and lower. Right now, all of the models that have the fake it feature, the minute you press fake it, it defaults to upper and the lower right. So if you're playing a song and you want to do a fake it, you press it and it just automatically defaults to fake it, but you can't play a melody with it. Now on this instrument here, now we'll go back to the video here so they can see this. So what I'm going to do is actually let me put on that swing, that light gypsy as an example. And as I'm playing, I'm going to put on, let's see what this, these are all great sounds, they'll all work. And what I'm going to do is play a melody, and then what I typically, this happens a lot when I'm at Tucson with Jerome there, a lot of times when I'm playing, he may come up next to me on another instrument, he'll start doodling around while I'm playing the melody. Well, that's kind of what this is. As you continue playing your song, put on the fake it on the other keyboard, and it'll follow you while you continue playing, and you actually sound like there's 3 of you playing the instrument. Listen. All right, so I'm going to get it going here, and I'll start playing, and on the top keyboard I have, all right, so I'll start off by playing the melody here. Now while I'm doing this, let me just put on a drum variation here. I'm going to put on the fake it, but instead of the lower, because that's where I'm playing the melody, I'm going to push fake it on the upper. And you'll notice as I'm playing, the melody does not turn into a fake it on the lower. And then I'm going to just reach up and hit 2 notes together to get it going, and it'll follow me. And you can use that with any of the styles, and it'll do it. It's a different fake it for each one. So if I go back to the other the light big band that I was playing, listen. So as you can see, you can do it on any keyboard at any time. You just push to fake it where you want it to go. And if you want them on both, you can do that as well. So it follows you now. Just another great innovation, another great feature. Whew, they got a lot of great features on this. Now, we're going to play another great real style here. And this was just a fun style that a lot of people enjoyed playing. And you can play country music with it. You do all sorts of great music for it. Let's see if you can figure it out. Rhythms, real style after real style after real style after real style. Oh my gosh, I forgot about this feature. Now, most of you are familiar with this feature, and it's called MCS Plus. And it first came out, there was one that was introduced on the Lowry Liberty. And when you turn it on, you get what's called a MCS Plus, and it's kind of similar to the jazz chords. And I think, do we have it on the next screen? Okay. So when you press it here, you'll see that there's now, you have an MCS Plus jazz 2 hands, normal 2 hands, blues, theater, which a lot of the EX models have, and now there's 2 of them, one called light and open. Now light is nice because now when you're playing, this is rare, that to get a chord sound to sound, well, light in calories, if you will, it plays a 2-note chord that you could do it with, and an open harmony is where the notes are spread out. So now we have the full range of MCS pluses. The jazz 2 hands plays 6 to 8 notes, normal 2 hands plays 6 notes, chord stacked. Blues plays, I forget what it is, a 6 something 9. It does it automatically for you. Theater plays a 4-note chord. A light plays a 2-note chord, and the harmony plays a 3-note chord where the note is spread out to look something like this, which is physically challenging to do. So another great innovation that Lowry has put on the Lowry Aria. And of course, we move on to, this is actually, to me, is one of the best educational tools that you could have. We have a lot of students that, especially during the lockdown, obviously, where it'd be nice if you had an instructor on hand. Well, the Lowry Aria has now an audio guide, and these are all of the topics that's on it. And you can see there's some of these are the new features. And this was recorded by Paul Schaub, who has the nickname The Professor. And the reason why he has that name is because Paul Schaub is one of the best at when he speaks to a group or a student in instruction. He speaks clearly and at a pace that people can understand. And when he explains the feature, he takes you step by step, and it tells you. So, for example, if you had the wah-wah, if you press play on that feature, it would say wah-wah, and it tells you where it's located on the screen. And it tells you to the right of the screen, how to press it, how to use it step by step, and then you can actually pause, stop, try the feature out. It's like an additional instruction guide at your fingertips, and you can have the instructor teaching you whenever you want, and you never have to feed them either. And of course, moving on to the next slide here, we have A slight recap of what I talked about today. Unfortunately, I didn't get to play all of the real styles for you, but you got to hear some of those. You got to hear a couple of the light styles. We have the new Starlight ABCs feature, which gives you all of the lights and tells you what notes are being played. You have now the Style Favorites tabs, the QWERTY keyboard, the new Orchestrator feature. You also have the new oh, you know what? I did not play any dimensional categories. I'm going to have to play one of those real quick before I play my final number. And there's a new category called Orchestrator category, the new Vocal Harmony. There's this new Setup Hold feature, the new Fake It selection, which allows you to play on the top and the bottom, and of course our Audio Owner's Guide. And I think the next slide is going to be another real style. But before we do that, Sean, can you find the slide that was earlier on where it showed the new presets? Because I do have to show off a few of these sounds before I finish up with my last number here for you. And tell me when you're there. And these are some new category setups. I mentioned it earlier, called Dimension. You heard some of the new Orchestrator. Dimension, there's 4 of them. And it works very cleverly and simply, like this. And what Jim Weeda is actually the mastermind behind these. What he wanted to do was take 11 of the best sounds that you would typically, actually 22 for the top and the bottom, that people would most commonly use. Pianos, your guitars, your trombones, you know, the most common musical instruments that people loved. And he wanted to create an effect in these sounds that made it as real can be. In other words, if you heard a clarinet, someone playing the clarinet 6 feet away from you, and you could actually hear some of the imperfections with the breath and the notes and the overtones and the vibratos, or maybe the saxophone where you can hear the certain vibrato on alto saxophone, or the authenticity of a full grand piano. And what he did is he created 4 category presets that all have the same sound, but Dimension 1 works with 1, Dimension 2 works with a 2-part harmony, and 3 and 4 kick in the Orchestrator feature as well, along with the Orchestrator. So I'm going to show off just a few of these from Dimension 1. And here, for example, is, and you're going to hear some bells. When you hear the clarinet, I'll come to the clarinet. It's absolutely amazing. I'll probably pause and tell you the sound before I do it, and the alto saxophone, etc. Listen. So those are some pretty bells. We have these new clarinet. Listen. Now I'm going to play a trombone here. This trombone's going to sound a little different than your traditional trombone you would normally have. There's a lot of trombonists that when they perform over the years, depending on the song that they want to play. A lot of times when they're done playing, they clean out the spit valve, if you will. And a lot of times they intentionally don't. And the reason for that is because it creates a whole different tone and effect. And when you hear this, you may recognize this tone and go, I've heard a trombone sound like that, and I've always wondered how they did it. Well, this is how they do it. Now, I've got to be careful with this because this is so lifelike. The trombone player may actually spit a little bit on you, and it may go through the internet and get on you. So step back when you hear this. Listen to this new alto saxophone. You can hear, well, you just have to listen. Had to hit that last note there. And if you notice the way that grand piano is set up so that you actually get just about the full range in the grand piano. Now, I'm going to finish up with one last number for you here. And before I do, I want to turn to the audience for a moment. You've been looking at the keyboard. You haven't been seeing me, but I'm having fun. If you could see the expressions on my face, it'd be... It might scare you. I don't know. I'm just, ooh, wow. But I want to leave it with one little, some parting words for you. And I could see everybody smiling there. Am I doing okay there? Thumbs up. All right. Very good. I got some exciting news for you. This aria is not available. It belongs to Carolyn. So you can't have it. However, whenever anyone hears about an aria, and I think the last time we heard about an aria, what was it, 6 months ago maybe, 9 months ago, a year ago, I forget what it was. Actually, I think the last aria was sold, believe it or not. One of the last arias were sold was in Tucson, and it was the only one in America that Fletcher's student got, an ebony one. It was Larry Washburn. I don't know if you remember Larry Washburn, Carolyn. He got that, and that was the last aria that we were able to get our hands on. Well, that was close, probably about a year ago, and every now and then we would go on the hunt, and we would call a dealer. A lot of times last year during the year, what would happen was a dealer would, they'd have one that they bought from Lowry, and they'd hang on to it until they sold it, of course, until things got tight, and they'd call us and they'd say, hey, listen, I have an aria. And that happened very sparingly, but it was sometime last year. Well, about a week ago, we actually got word that, turn this light off so you can see me okay. About a week ago, or less than a week ago, we got word that basically we were able to get our hands on well, sort of get our hands on it, but there is one Aria that we have, that we are able to get, acquire, if you will. And it's not your typical normal circumstance, but it's through another dealer who has a customer that has one. And I'm not sure of the whole story, but I think what I heard wants to get a grand piano and wanted to part ways with the Aria because it was always an accomplished piano player or something like that. I don't know the exact story. However, what we do know is we can get one, and we can have one to whoever the first. The downside is there's one available. The upside is one available. Downside is there's only one available, and it's on a first come first serve. And what I will tell you is your staff members have pricing information. What I will tell you is that we have some flexibility, but no flexibility on the pricing of this. What I mean by that is we had to pay for it what we had to get it, and we're doing this more because we've had, in the last 6 months, I've had a lot of salespeople come up and say, hey, by the way, do we have an Aria available? I know someone who always kind of wanted one of those or what have you. So what I'm going to tell you is, if you like and see what you heard today, just remember you're hearing it online, and if it sounds good the way it is, you imagine what it'd sound like in person. If you don't believe me, let's see, I'm going to pin Carolyn. There you are. You're on the screen. Just ask Carolyn, because she's sitting about 20 feet away listening to this, and she's smiling just like she heard it for the first time, just like when we first featured this model. But having said that, what I want to do is tell you, thank you for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed this presentation. It was kind of fun for me. It was exciting as I went. I had to pull out music that I haven't played in a while. And I thank you, Sean, for assisting me on the little slideshow. I'm going to finish up with a real style. This is a song that I actually love playing. So when I first heard that this style existed, I was, to say that I was extremely pleased is kind of an understatement. And the style is called Phantom of the Opera. And the song I'm going to play is Phantom of the Opera. And I'm just going to use a preset or two, switch to an alter style. But you're going to hear the exact arrangement in the beginning, the pipe organ, the whole works. Here we go. And that, folks, is the Aria, and at least you got to see about 2% of it today. And hopefully one of you will get to see it 100% all the time. And I want to say thank you very much for joining me this afternoon, almost evening in Florida. And we hope you enjoyed this wonderful presentation. And what I'm going to suggest is get with your PA immediately. There is only one Aria left in the entire, literally in the entire world, at least in the U.S. for sure. So if you like what you see and you heard, call them right away. Find out what you can, how you can acquire one. And again, first come, first serve. So in the meantime, I hope you enjoyed this presentation. Take care, stay safe, and stay healthy. Bye-bye.